there are two evil things here.
Some say there are spirits who walk among us. Claims of strange, ghostly phenomena have been reported all over the world.
Oh my gosh, it moved.
Bizarre sounds. Mysterious photos.
They are utterly real to the people that have them, but they are hallucinations.
You don't believe it? Fine. Just come and stay in my house. When I moved to the state, it was in 1989. I was going through a divorce, so I was trying to just find a home for myself and my daughter.
After searching for months, Amy Moore finds a house in Mansfield, Connecticut, about 240 kilometers northeast of New York City.
I went by this house and I couldn't believe how absolutely gorgeous it was. Run down, but incredibly, incredibly gorgeous. It was abandoned, and I didn't know it was owned by the state at the time. But it went on the market, and I bid on it, and I was fortunate enough to be able to get it. I was very, very happy about it. It wasn't until I moved here when things started happening that I started to think there was something else in this world going on. The first night I was here, I was alone in the house, and I was up on a ladder, scraping away 4 or 5 layers of wallpaper. And all of a sudden, there's bang, 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 bang. The wall vibrated. It was like someone was on the other side of the wall, hitting the wall. I'm not gonna go investigating thinking somebody had broken into this house. So I left. Started happening. There were doors starting to slam, and there were footsteps upstairs. It became more and more. I honestly thought I was losing my mind. There's no way any of this stuff could be going on. Especially on the 2nd floor, there's a door to the 3rd floor with a hook and a latch. You would hear it click, and the door open. I would shut the door, lock it, and I would go away again. I'd hear click, and the door's open again. I started putting a wooden peg I had made into it so the latch wouldn't even be able to come up anymore. It still opened. It was spooking me. I was getting scared. There was no explanation. I didn't believe these ghost stories. I never watched the shows, and I don't believe it. Never believed in that stuff.
Many of Amy Moore's house guests also report witnessing unexplainable sights and sounds, including former police detective Dave McGann.
I first moved in, Amy told me, you know, Dave, you can live here, but I gotta warn you, there's ghosts. I'm not a person that believes in ghosts. So I said, all right, I can deal with ghosts. I was sitting in bed after a hard day of painting, and while watching television, I heard the bag shifting, and a water bottle that had been teetering on the top had rolled off. I didn't think much of it at the time. I went to the bathroom, and as I came back, I saw the water bottle. Picked it up, put it back in the trash bag. And as I turned away, a water bottle came flying past the side of my head, and it hit the wall at great force. I mean, that thing just came whipping past. And I spun around, and I heard a growling sound. It's not a sound that I've ever heard before in my life. It's pretty frightening. It really is. I can't tell you what it was. I think when something like that happens, and it's a physical thing, but there's nothing physical there to relate it to, it just blows your mind. You don't know what it was. You can't explain it.
That was just the beginning for McGann. He says he began to see other unusual things he could not explain.
Finished a meal, and I came down the stairs. At the bottom of the stairs, as you turn left, you go into the kitchen. And as I came around the corner, something stepped in front of me. I don't know what it was. It didn't make any noise. It didn't have any smell. It didn't have anything other than the fact that no light would penetrate through it. There was no real shape to the person. It was more of a silhouette. I backed up, and just as quickly as I looked back at the door, it had gone off into the corner. I looked over to the left, and there was nothing there. That was my first run-in with what I now call the shadow person. I would run into this throughout the rest of my time here. I don't know what it is, but you know what? I don't want to know. I want to get on with my life, and that's not part of it. It's not a place that I would choose to live again. I wouldn't recommend staying here overnight.
Over time, Moore says the unexplainable incidents in her home intensified.
Never have I ever encountered anything that I've encountered here. And it happens all the time. Never stops. I was in bed sleeping one night, and something right next to my ear started whispering.
Let me, please. Let me.
I sat up right in bed. After that point, that it started hearing the growling. The noise is like a. I've never been petrified in my life. Petrified where I couldn't move. I was afraid to move. If I moved, something bad was going to be there. But there was nothing there. It was the sense of being threatened, physically threatened. I deeply feel there are two very evil entities in this house. I needed to find out what was going on. I wanted proof that what I'm hearing and seeing and feeling is a reality and not something, a figment of my imagination. And a friend of mine told me about Joe Gallant.
Joe Gallant is a paranormal investigator. He's been trying to collect evidence of ghosts at Moore's house.
Amy expressed that she was afraid to be alone in her own home, that she didn't want to live in fear anymore, that she wanted someone to come in and explain to her or help her understand what exactly was going on. And that's why we're here today. Equipment's being set up in post 2. You guys know where that is?
While Gallant's paranormal investigation team sets up to begin their search, another team is traveling to Xochimilco, Mexico, to investigate yet another report of paranormal activity. Alejandro Silva and Carla Castro are on their way to a Chinampa, or small man-made island that local legend claims is haunted.
We are heading to the Island of the Dolls, a very magical and supposedly mysterious place. There is a lot of history here in Xochimilco. We are going there with the intention of investigating and seeing if strange things really happen there.
It's an old story, a story that comes from Don Julian, who was the owner of the island. And at the time, he was frightened and started to collect dolls to ward off the spirits.
People report that the dolls move. We hope that there is some movement or some anomaly, that we witness some strange phenomenon. That is what we are looking for.
Esto es lo que queríamos ver.
No, sí, impresiona.
No es un lugar para estar de noche.
I really think the phenomenon exists. It's real. There is something there that is undiscovered, and we are here precisely to find proof that something is really happening there.
Anastasio Santana is now the owner and caretaker of the Island of the Dolls.
I'm the nephew of my uncle Julian Santana Barrera, the founder of the island. When he was young, he liked to plant here in the fields. And he came here to sow plants that he would take and sell.
Anastasio Santana spent much of his life here with his uncle.
My uncle told me that in 1950, there were 3 young girls swimming, 20 or 22 years old. My uncle was working here when the girls were having fun. And one of them drowned. Her friends brought her out and put her in the canoe and covered her with corn stalks. And they tie her up, left her there where the cross is. And that's when the haunting started. He told me that he was being haunted and that when he went out to get food, he would find dolls in the canals. He would grab them and put them here, at first as scarecrows. But the haunting continued. He had hoped it would scare off the spirit of the girl, and he went on collecting more, so he collected them from 1950 until 1980. Nowadays, there are more than 1,000. When the day of his death came, he was fishing. He had a heart attack and fell into the water. and a few seconds later, I saw him floating.
Anastasio? Ja. Buenas tardes. Un gusto en conocerlo.
Santana shows paranormal investigators Silva and Castro around the island before they begin their search for evidence of possible hauntings here.
Hemos oído muchas historias de que la gente ha visto a las muñecas moverse, que usted mismo las ha oído llorar cuando ya tienen...
Sí, pero aquí, por ejemplo, hay muñecas que han estado colgadas unos 10 años o más. Se caen, las levantan y empiezan a chillar como si tuvieran pilas. Otras cómo mueven los ojos, otras cómo se mueven.
Y es, pues bueno, ¿podemos ahorita ir a ver a dónde fue donde su tío falleció?
Sí, claro que sí. Aquí miren, aquí en 1950 le da el infarto en el mismo lugar donde se ahoga la joven.
You can say that it is because of the mysticism of the place, because he could have been fishing 50 meters further, but where the girl drowned, that is where he dies. That's why there are two crosses there.
Meantime, the investigation in the United States is nearly ready to begin.
But it's not a place that I would choose to live again. I wouldn't recommend staying here overnight.
Gallant's paranormal team is almost finished with their setup to try to determine whether Amy Moore's house is haunted.
There'll be 5 cameras set up throughout the home. Each floor will have at least 1 camera. The audio will be attached to the video surveillance. They capture EVP. EVP stands for electronic voice phenomenon. So they're all up and ready to go and all recording. Camera 2, which is the camera that's set up in the attic. This is where one of our investigators initially saw with her own 2 eyes a physical apparition walking from one room to the other.
The last time Gallant investigated Moore's house, he claims to have captured pictures of ghosts on camera. Claims of photographs showing images of ghosts date back generations.
There's no country on Earth, there's no country in history where people haven't believed in ghosts and haven't had these weird experiences.
Chris French is a professor and doctor of psychology at the University of London, where he researches scientific explanations of paranormal claims. French, like the majority of the scientific community, is skeptical about the paranormal.
England is probably the most haunted country in the world. At least you'll get that opinion from lots of English people.
Wem, England, about 270 kilometers northwest of London, is home to one of the most celebrated ghost photographs in existence.
In 1995, the town hall in the small market town of Wem in England burnt down. And Tony O'Reilly was there with his camera. He took lots of shots of this very dramatic event. When he then developed the film, the pictures were all very dramatic, but one in particular stood out. There was one very spooky picture which showed in front of the burning building a small, ghostly girl. And he assumed, as did lots of other people, that this was in fact a ghost caught on camera. When people look back into the local history of the town, it was discovered that there'd been a devastating fire back in 1677. And this had been started by a young girl called Jane Churn with a candle that she was carrying. And so people naturally put 2 and 2 together and assumed that the ghost that had been caught on camera must be the ghost of Jane Churn. There are lots of reasons why people might think that they're looking at a picture of a ghost, when in fact there are other explanations. There may be situations where the camera strap gets in the way of the shot, and the flash makes it look like there's weird energy beams, or it's just specks of dust that are out of focus. And of course, we can't rule out, in these days of Photoshop and other software packages, deliberate hoaxes. They're getting more and more difficult to spot.
Experts at the National Museum of Photography.
Tony O'Rahilly himself was challenged to whether he had tampered with the photograph, and he completely rejected the idea.
No way. No. No way at all.
In 2010, when an article appeared in the local paper, the Shropshire Star, the paper had included an old postcard of the area, and a sharp-eyed reader had spotted that there was a little girl in the photograph who seemed to bear an uncanny resemblance to the little girl in the ghost photo. And in fact, when you compare the two directly, you see that it's pretty clear that this is the little girl who is the Wem ghost. And it appears that someone had in fact taken the image from the postcard and superimposed that up onto the photograph taken in 1995. So I've never seen a photograph that I've thought that might be a real ghost, and I don't think I ever will. We know from well-controlled psychological studies that if you believe in ghosts, you are more likely to think you've experienced one, so that when something happens that you can't explain, well, maybe it was a ghost. Whereas somebody who's a non-believer will either come up with a different kind of explanation or just accept that sometimes stuff happens and you can't explain it.
One place renowned for unexplainable incidents is Muncaster Castle in Cumbria, England. Reputation for being haunted makes it perhaps the ideal place to put the idea of the supernatural to the test.
Muncaster Castle is known for many things, but it is famous worldwide for being one of the most haunted places, allegedly, anywhere in England and probably the whole world.
Parts of Muncaster Castle date to the 14th century. Peter Frost Pennington is the live-in manager and a member of the family that has owned the castle since it was built.
It is interesting how many people come here and seem to have experiences. The rooms in the castle that are most haunted are, first of all, the tapestry room. That's meant to have all sorts of things happening, the crying child. And the area outside the tapestry room by Tom Fool's portrait. The other corridor that links the bedrooms, that is meant to be haunted with figures having been seen there. The Great Hall has had footsteps and door handles turning. The dining room has had some poltergeist activity. And apart from that, we're fine.
The strange encounters reported at Muncaster Castle are the center of research by Dr. Jason Braithwaite, a cognitive psychologist and brain science lecturer at England's University of Birmingham.
I see all the big stones in there.
We've been coming to Muncaster Castle since 1990. This makes it the longest investigation of a haunting ever carried out anywhere in the world. And the reason we've been coming here is because it's been a very potent supply of strange experiences. I personally think science will be able to answer these experiences. So as such, I'm described by many people as being a skeptic, and I do not personally believe in the existence of paranormal.
Braithwaite believes that haunted experiences are all in the mind. His experiment aims to measure scientifically whether the power of suggestion by telling volunteers that the rooms in this castle are reputedly haunted, or the physical environment here can trigger bodily reactions.
I don't believe in ghosts or paranormal activity or anything of the sort.
I kind of do believe in ghosts myself. Sometimes it's a bit 50-50. Sometimes I feel, no, it can't be possible.
I haven't ruled ghosts out, but I don't necessarily believe in them.
What I'm going to do is attach a number of psychophysiological sensors to you, okay? They're completely harmless, so we're interested in measuring skin conductance responses, facial muscle activation. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, it's fine.
And body temperature, as a measure of that overall level of anxiety or stress or emotional involvement. Comfortable?
Yep, fine.
Excellent. We'll begin. Are you expecting that something unexplained might occur while taking part in the experiment? And that's from a -5 to extremely low, to a +5, extremely high.
A -5.
-5?
I'd say 0.
0, okay.
-5.
-5. The graphs here are measuring 3 independent psychophysiological variables. All these variables have been shown to alter significantly in relation to anxiety, to stress, and to increased emotional experiences. There is some evidence that the power of suggestion can certainly predispose somebody to have a strange experience. We're interested in whether the certain spaces within the castle have the power to induce these experiences and these reactions more in susceptible individuals.
Next, the experiment will measure the volunteers' physical reactions as they spend part of the night in 2 different bedrooms. One room is reputedly haunted, but they won't know which one. While Braithwaite is preparing the volunteers for his experiment, back in Mexico, Silva and Castro are getting ready to launch their own investigation. They hope to collect evidence to try to determine whether the Island of the Dolls is haunted.
Esto es algo del equipo básico.
They will use a digital video camera, a thermal imaging camera, and gauges to measure temperature and electromagnetism.
Como pues no hay aparatos electrónicos en la
Since there
isla,
aren't any electronic devices on the island, they will have measurements of 1 or maybe 2. But if it goes up more than that in a place where there is no charge, well, then we should suspect that there is something, an anomaly.
Alguna anomalía. Bueno, aquí es donde han sucedido las muertes, así que seguramente aquí es donde tendremos que hacer nuestras mediciones principales, en este caso, pues, alteraciones de temperatura o en el campo electromagnético, que es el EMF. Y ahorita digo, debería estar en 0, pero cuando vamos recorriendo los lugares debería estarnos, seguir en el 0. Aquí no hay ningún aparato eléctrico. Se nos ha ido las veces que hemos pasado aquí hasta 1.6.
Silva detects a spike in the EMF meter. Next, they get a strange reading from some of the dolls.
Pero hay algo, tú ahí lo estamos viendo cómo lo está midiendo. Estoy detectando que tiene carga eléctrica o electromagnética. Digo, aquí estamos hablando de una muñeca electrónica. Entonces, si todavía tiene carga, si todavía hay algo ahí funcionando, quizá no sería raro que en una de esas la escucháramos. Ahorita son mediciones base porque él dice que pues, cuando pasan las cosas, pasan de noche. Así que vamos a esperar a la noche.
As night falls, Silva and Castro ask Santana about ghost encounters he's had on the Island of the Dolls.
¿Y en las noches no le ha tocado ir alguna vez que ya ve que su tío decía que veía a esta chica o algo a la que se ahogó?
Ahora cuando estoy ahora sí que de la 1 de la mañana, lo que se escucha mucho las voces y las caminadas de mujer. Luego estoy sentado y en el puente, como camina una niña. Yo creo que sí, las muñecas tienen vida. ¿Por qué? Porque a mí me ha tocado verlas y escucharlas. Pues ahorita como que no me quería quedar, porque tengo miedo. Cuando platico esas cosas, hasta cuando dice
¿Se le enchina la piel?
Se le enchina la piel. Yo sí creo en los espantos. ¿Por qué? Porque me han espantado.
Meanwhile, back in the United States at Moore's house, the surveillance gear is in place.
This is where one of our investigators saw with her own 2 eyes a physical apparition.
Joe Gallant and his paranormal investigation team take their assigned posts for the night. The search team will take turns patrolling the house to try to gather evidence of paranormal activity with handheld night vision cameras and electromagnetic field detectors.
There are some who believe that if ever you record unusual activity in the electromagnetic field, that's an indication of genuine paranormal activity. There's another school of thought that says that unusual patterns of electromagnetic activity can actually affect certain susceptible individuals and cause them to have hallucinatory experiences. So they're not really seeing a ghost, but they think they are.
French believes there are also logical explanations for reports of doors opening on their own or things flying through the air.
Very often in these cases, people report they see objects move that are not even being touched. And it turns out that the very suggestion from a fake medium that an object is moving is often enough for people to report that it actually does move, even though objectively it's not moving at all. Of course, there's also the possibility in many of these cases that we might be dealing with deliberate hoaxes.
In Mexico, it's now late in the night on the island of the dolls.
Yo sí creo en los espantos. ¿Por qué? Porque me han espantado.
Silva and Castro resume their search to capture evidence of possible paranormal activity. This time they use a video camera and a thermal imaging camera.
Entonces este nos va a dar una lectura de la temperatura exacta de cada objeto que estamos grabando. Entonces aquí también podemos ver anomalías o un cambio de temperatura rápido, que es el que se reporta cuando vemos un fantasma. Desciende rápidamente la temperatura, aquí lo vemos. Hasta ahorita todo normal. Normal completamente. No queremos dejarnos influenciar, pero sí sabemos que este es el lugar...
Algo extraño.
Sí se siente algo extraño.
Aquí se siente...
Y ahorita es...
algo como que... jala.
They turn the thermal imaging camera on some of the dolls that registered magnetism on the EMF detector earlier.
Vamos a decir que tiene una anomalía. Aunque es muy vieja la muñeca y vemos aquí cierta actividad. Entonces en una de esas quizá escuchemos a la muñeca llorar.
It can actually still make a sound, making it seems like it's a supernatural thing or there's a ghost in there. But when you take a measurement there, it actually shows a peak. It shows it's still got energy on it.
I think what we're looking at is the power of suggestion. So once people have that expectation, then any kind of thing that they see out the corner of their eye that they don't properly focus on can be interpreted as the doll moving in some way. When they're hearing these sounds at night, they're immediately assuming these are the sounds of dolls crying, when it may well be the sound of stray cats or other animals making noises in the night.
After their night-long investigation, Silva and Castro's conclusions are mixed.
I believe the dolls can move because we can explain it with changes in the weather. This is plastic, this is nylon, this is things that can actually just contract and move because it's hot or it's cold. That has nothing to do with hunting. They make noises because some of them still have batteries, even after all these long times. And if you move them, some of them have mechanical things inside them that just make the noise whenever you move them. I believe the dolls are not haunted. The island might be haunted.
It is worth it to investigate a little deeper and to see if strange things really are happening here.
Back in England, the Muncaster Castle experiment continues.
It's been a very potent supply of strange experiences.
The volunteers are told that the castle is rumored to be haunted, and that one of the 2 bedrooms where they will each spend part of the night has a reputation for haunting experiences. But they don't know which one.
Okay, so it's your left hand again that I need, please.
Unknown to the volunteers, the experiment begins in the reputedly haunted tapestry bedroom.
What will happen now is if you just tell me any thoughts and feelings or impressions that come and go. Okay? How are you feeling at the moment?
Fairly relaxed, yeah, there's nothing specific really that's occurring to me.
My heart is beating a lot faster than it was downstairs. Just, I don't feel comfortable. I feel quite on edge.
I'm still relaxed. No trivial thoughts or anything.
It's quite an odd feeling. I don't know when I've ever experienced it before. But I don't feel as if I'm about to see a ghost.
How are you feeling at the moment?
Fine, relaxed.
Your body temperature dropped by 1 degree. The girls also showed drops in body temperature and also increased skin conductance activity, particularly Katie. And we're wondering if maybe because the room looks cold, it makes them feel cold. This is one of the questions we are trying to explore, and we don't have a definitive answer yet. Again, get in the middle of the bed, make yourself nice and comfortable.
Next, the volunteers are tested in the 2nd bedroom, which has no reports of haunted encounters.
How are you feeling at the moment, Kim?
Quite comfortable, yeah, nothing unusual.
It's almost like it's the complete opposite of the other room. I feel really comfortable here.
Yeah? Based on the time you have now spent in both beds and rooms, in your opinion, which one is more likely to be associated with haunt-type reports?
I don't know, I couldn't really tell.
I feel more at ease in this room than I did in the last room.
The first room. Lying on the bed in the first room, I was very uncomfortable. I felt quite anxious, but I didn't really know why I felt anxious.
I felt slightly more at ease in the last room.
In particular, I didn't really feel too much difference, but I do feel the whole place has a bit of a creepy feel about it.
Braithwaite's research into strange experiences at Muncaster Castle is so far inconclusive. But it has revealed a theory to him.
I feel quite on edge.
Our research has shown that prone people are skewed in some way on some of these measures, and this has important implications for the types of experiences they report, how often they have them, and how intense these experiences are. Of the 3 people, 2 of them showed very interesting drops in body temperature and interesting skin conductance responses, and 1 of the 3 showed quite striking experiences and was quite unnerved in the bed. So it's a third of our sample, of our population that reported strange experiences, which is exactly what we find every time we come. This leads me to kind of come to the conclusion that explanations for ghosts and hauntings and these types of phenomena are brain-based and brain-driven, and that there is no evidence that I can see that, for the paranormal existence, if you will, for apparitions and ghosts.
With this series, it's made me reconsider the seriousness of the paranormal.
It's morning at Amy Moore's house after Gallant's investigation into possible paranormal activity.
Well, as you know, we came in, we did some additional filming, and although
He's now ready to review the results of the evidence collected.
we did capture some EVPs, and we want you to listen to them.
Oh, I want to hear. I want to hear.
All right. We're going to play them out loud. If you cannot understand what they're saying, because we're not going to tell you what they're saying, we want you to tell us what you hear. Did you understand?
I didn't like it.
Do you know what they said?
Because she's there.
It says, tell her something. Tell her she's dead. Say it again, Ruben.
One of the things that struck me about the EVPs that we recorded in Connecticut is just how poor the quality is. There's something that does sound a little bit more clearly like a voice, but why should that be a spirit voice? I strongly suspect that that's just the voice of somebody who was there at the time, who happened to make a comment quietly, and it was picked up by the microphones.
All right, let's move on to the next one. This one's a little bit more, I would say, compelling, maybe a little bit scarier. Again, I'm not going to tell you what it says. I want you to tell me. Are you ready?
All right. Burn? Not the burn, the children.
Yes, to let the children burn.
I knew something bad was here.
We have actually done studies where we've taken these kinds of stimuli, and if you don't tell people what the message is, they report that they just can't hear anything. If you do tell them, then quite often they think, yeah, I can hear that. Again, what this demonstrates very, very clearly is that it's the expectation that you've built up. It's what psychologists call top-down processing, the influence of our prior beliefs and expectations on the way that we perceive ambiguous stimuli.
We did capture a video on our still camera that shows something happening in the attic, 3rd floor.
Oh my. Oh my gosh, it moved.
It did move.
That is scary. That there's something here that's one or two that are not good.
Not very friendly. That's
not friendly at all. Not friendly at all.
Without a doubt, 110%. This is one of the most haunted places that we have yet to investigate.
It's my house, and I'm going to stay in this house until I want to leave it. It's not theirs, it's mine.
In terms of what we know about how the brain works, I don't see any possibility that any form of consciousness could survive bodily death. So I'm not going to be convinced that there is such a thing as an afterlife unless we get very, very, very compelling evidence.
I don't feel comfortable.
Of all the evidence that I've explored over the last 20 years of my research on hauntings and apparitional experience, I see no evidence at all that is consistent with the interpretation that spirits are real, that the dead live on, or that the living and the dead can communicate with each other. I mean, let's be under no mistake here. These experiences are absolutely fascinating. They are utterly real to the people that have them, but they are hallucinations. But we have to further our knowledge of how hallucinations can happen in the non-diseased, non-pathological brain in order to truly understand these fascinating experiences.
And no, there are two evil things here. There's two things that are very mean. You don't believe it? Fine. Just come and stay in my house. And we'll see if you believe the next day. And you will.